what is your best advice for the audience to take away from this discussion today?
Let's have Mr. Svenson start.
I think that if you really buy into this idea that culture is important, I think everybody said it, but really try to codify and be clear about what are the foundations of your culture, what's important to you, what matters. And then I'm a big believer in identifying and then celebrating the stories that bring that to life and reinforce it. And I think if you paint a picture for somebody, they can grasp it and they can understand it, and then they can embody it and act it out, as opposed to trying to make it too formulaic. And so I think culture is key. I mean, for us, it's everything. But you need to be able to understand what are those pillars that the culture stands for, and then celebrating the stories that bring those to life is a great way to be able to have that culture come to life for people.
I'll answer the question with one of the other values that I've not yet mentioned, which is the spirit of problem solving. And one thing that we've tried to instill in the company is that everything in front of us is just a problem, and it's not something to be discouraged about or bummed about or make a huge deal. This whole thing is just a series of problems, whether that's how to get better at making sure our culture is infused throughout the organization, whether it's how we're going to accomplish this next big goal, whether it's people, whether it's financial, whether it's problem or whether it's customer. It really is, it's capturing the spirit of its problems and packaging up that problem, understanding it clearly, being able to resource it, be able to tackle it, and then attached to that is that spirit of perseverance you mentioned at the very beginning, where you just attack that problem and you continue to battle that problem and you don't waver until you solve it. Then you can continue to move on to the next set of problems. And for me, it's really helped me as a leader to be able to just think about this process and the journey as just a series of problems, one after the next, and they go forever. Like, you'll never be done. And it makes it clear in terms of what needs to be prioritized at that moment in time. And I think it helps our company to be clear, okay, not to get overwhelmed or distracted, just to focus on this next key problem, to tackle it, and then to continue to just move on and march forward.
Yeah, I love that. I love I think the idea that business is a collection of problems. That's what they are. And so advice, I would say, one, if you're leading a company, the amount of time you're talking about culture and people and the way your organization ought to be treating its people and the way your organization ought to be thinking about culture. If you're saying it so much that you almost can't bear to hear yourself say it anymore, then you're probably close to saying it enough. It has to come out of your mouth every time you talk, especially the bigger you get, because that consistency is what people are expecting or what people need to know how important it is to you. So you have to be talking about it more than you're talking about your growth targets and your revenue goals. That's one. Two, if it's not consuming a significant percentage of the amount of time you're spending in a day, whether that's people issues or culture issues or how you're thinking about different ways to indoctrinate that culture into the way your people are behaving, I think it's probably a miss. And the third point, and actually both Scott and Matt have talked about it, the idea of telling the story, but making sure the stories aren't just the happy stories, just about how easy life is going to be. Like, hey, we just do these things and everyone's going to be happy and we can sing songs and dance around rainbows. Like, that's not business, that's not life. Telling people about the hard things you've been through gives them permission to realize that every day is not going to be a perfect day at the office, but every day is an opportunity to work with a bunch of people who you care about and who can help you solve problems. That to me is a really important part of the story. It's not everything's easy, it's everything's really hard. Don't you want to do that with people you love? Like, that's the story.
Excellent.